In this short video, we'll cover the essential components of SOCAutomation CTEM and how it is used to deliver benefits and productivity to cyber threat initiatives. Here we have the SOCAutomation console. The console has a number of apps. Today we are looking at CTEM, so we will be focusing on the dashboard, CASM, RBVM risk maps, automated workflows, and stakeholders. These applications provide a very high level of granular access to the threat landscape gathered by your vulnerability tools, scanners, other SOCAutomation applications, and any other captured data within your organization. A key philosophy of SOCAutomation is to provide users with less work, not more. So when you need to deep dive into intricate data sets, you can do that easily, while at the same time, on a day-to-day basis, this work is done for you so you can focus on the job at hand rather than continually searching for things. To that end, the primary apps that are typically used for CTEM are the dashboard to get an immediate view of the current security posture for the areas that are relevant to you, and the workflow manager, which is the workhorse that gives you instant visibility into what requires attention for a given set of criteria. This is a huge time saver, as attack threat vectors come from all angles and many sources. So having technology sort through all the myriad possibilities really does deliver a lot of benefit for getting things done and avoid spending endless hours hunting for threat vectors and their sources. Showing now what each of these applications are doing, let's start with the dashboard. At the top is an immediate and real-time view of the current security posture and threat landscape. This is a system-wide score that illustrates the overall security footing. Importantly, the score trend shows how this score is changing over time. The threat exposure timeline at the bottom gives further detail, showing how derived threat levels are being detected over time. The metrics in the dashboard, top vulnerable devices, platform metrics, active workflows, etc., can be easily customized by applying filters to the view. These filters can be saved and applied per user of the system so that each user gets the metrics that are relevant to them. Looking into the CASM component gives a detailed view of the assets, threat vectors, vulnerabilities across the estate. It is a CMDB style view, not just of assets, but of the threats associated with those assets. In this app, you have a choice of viewing assets and their threats, or the vulnerabilities to their associated assets. This is a very handy way to look at the threat landscape from two orthogonal perspectives. The CASM application holds a lot of data regarding assets and their artifacts, and it is simple to find and search for specific assets or attributes to narrow down investigations quickly when needed. Table and graph views of all vulnerabilities pertaining to assets are easily searched and accessed, along with all the associated intelligence on the threat or vulnerability. In the same vein, the vulnerability view gives details about the affected assets associated with the threat or vulnerability, giving you easy access to vital information quickly and easily. Now we move into the real brains of SOCAutomation CTEM, the RBVM risk maps. SOCAutomation's risk maps is a fully automated engine that extracts the asset, threat vector, vulnerability, attack surface information from the CASM store and organizes, assesses, prioritizes, and dynamically assigns threats and vulnerable assets into workflows. More on workflows in a moment. Out of the box, risk maps are already configured to handle risk assessment, compliance, threat stratification, and all the details pertaining to threat quantification. Risk maps are fully customizable to add business-specific facets to the engine, like outsources, geo information, departmental delineations. In fact, any set of attributes can be added. The beauty of the RBVM Risk Map engine is that it is fully automated. You don't have to tune it or manually look after it. It handles the tasks automatically using its internal generative AI engine. The user interface here is used for customization, for example, if you add a new supplier or a new threat feed. Before we go into workflows, a quick word on stakeholders. Stakeholders are users, organizations, or automations that receive risk maps via the workflow. Stakeholders form the notification hub by which the results of risk map analysis are delivered back into the business to users, groups of users, teams, outsourcers, services, and automations. Stakeholders are a little different from users of the system in that they aren't necessarily humans. A stakeholder can be a user, but can also be a ticketing system, a patching mechanism, external entity, compliance process, or external process that needs to be aware of threats to your business. This brings us to the automated workflows. Simply put, workflows dynamically bond the generated risk maps to one or more stakeholders. Workflows massively reduce the complexity of threat exposure management by allowing dynamic routing of different kinds of threats, attacks, and risks as generated by the risk maps to the people, services, devices, cloud entities, configuration management, ticketing systems, and so on within an organization. When things change within the business, the workflows easily adapt without the need to rip into the tapestry of complexity that exists within the IT infrastructure. It's worth noting here that stakeholders that are users don't have to spend a lot of time wading through oceans of threats in order to get work accomplished. The workflow engine notifies users of workflow packages, typically through email, ticketing, reporting, Teams, or other integration point. They are then free to perform their work tasks knowing that they have access to the details when they need them, but are not required to only go through the tooling. After all, everyone has their way of working that suits them in order to be productive. And SOCAutomation empowers users to work the way they need to work to get things accomplished. Workflows are there to equip stakeholders with the necessary tasks and information, as well as the tools and insights into the relevant data streams and the means to track the workflows to completion. This approach is a breath of fresh air for staff and service teams, as they are no longer tethered to a given tool to get things done. In this short video, we've just scratched the surface of SOCAutomation's CTEM. If you would like to know more, speak to the folks at Gamma and Satisnet, who will be happy to help out. Thanks for watching.